Okay, it's fall break, so the kiddos out there are being noisy. Well, he's not noisy. His media is noisy. So I have this door closed. Chip is down there. And I'm sure it's only a matter of time. Yes, there he goes. He says, this door is closed. I don't want that. So they swapped. Floof was waiting to come in when I let Chip out. So she's in here now, so she might want to be let out at some point. I didn't pick her up because she might be a little wound, and I felt like if I tried to pick her up, she would bite me. So anyway, dolls. Since last week, I've been Messin'n'Redressin. Floof. Come here. Come on. Come on. Good girl. You want to come up? Come on. No, she wants up. So, no major customs. I mean, this dude, the Hasbro and Marvel Raising Patriot that Cosmo sent, he got out of that uniform into, this is a shirt that Cosmo made, cactuses. These are pants that James sent. They were the only thing, well, the first thing I found on hand that would fit over this doll's frankly enormous feet. You know, they're not as big as these shoes entirely, but almost. These are action figure shoes I've had for a long time. They're really soft vinyl, but I still had to boil them and cut some little strategic slits around either side of the tongue of the shoe to get them to go onto his feet. I'll do something about his hands eventually, but for now they don't bother me that much because it's a dude. Not a lot of articulated dude dolls out there. So he was the first one I redressed. I'm sure I won't do these in the order that I dressed them in, but just he was the start. What started me saying, hey, I think it'll be fun to just dress dolls for a while. And this one's gotten some attention on Instagram. This is a Funko Mystery Mini Barbie head. It was originally the body it was originally on. Hair on my finger. It's like only about this big under the head. And it was painted with the black and white swimsuit like the original doll had. And a few years ago when I got this from Lena Blue, or Passion Fish, depends on what platform you're looking at her stuff on. Passion Fish 11. Yeah, I'm rambling. I immediately knew that I wanted to put this head on a larger body, and I had a Juku Couture body for a while that was about the right color, maybe a little bit too pink, and I ended up giving that body to somebody else, and this head sat around for a while. But as I was shuffling things around fairly recently, I realized this Super Doll Rika-chan action figure body by Takara was the right color and a good size. So I had to Dremel out the inside of this head a bit, because its connection to the original body was an oblong peg, so I had to make it round. And I got it on this body pretty well. This is a slightly odd body. It's very of its time. It's probably from, it's from the early 2000s. Probably before, I want to say 2002, maybe earlier. And this is a Bratz dress, I'm pretty sure. And one of the shoes just fell off. I'm not going to worry about picking that up. The shoes don't really, it's hard to find shoes to fit this body. So anyway, I am mildly tempted to make a very stylized version of one of the early 60s original Barbie outfits for this. The other option is to manage to thrift a ponytail Barbie with blonde hair. I might also make them similar outfits. The full-size Barbie getting a more detailed outfit, and then this one getting a stylized version. I haven't decided yet, and who knows when I'll do it if I do. She also has a magnet. And in the doing stuff with the bodies that Cosmo sent, he sent the curvy Barbie body, made to move, pale, the floral yoga pants body. And you know, the first one of those bodies I got, I immediately put a Mackie Sculpt Barbie head on it because I just wanted to put a Mackie Sculpt head on that body for a while. I want to give her a reroute. That's why I haven't done anything with her, because she's in the custom to-do box holding a bag full of hair, waiting. And then the second one I got, I don't know if she's in frame, was the Creative Flower Princess Starry-Eyed Bride head to it on, because that's getting kind of far from Barbie into something more stylized. So when I had this one from Cosmo, I wanted to get even farther away as far as not at all Barbie head. So I went through my existing dolls, and this is what I chose. This is the one I call Allium. If you don't know, Allium is the flowers on an onion plant, which they're big explosions of flowers. The head is a fakey Doom keychain that Aster Kirigami sent. And once you wipe off the original not great paint, it's a very flat surface. It's like perfect for painting Cyclops dolls. You don't have to worry about sanding anything away. And then the wig is from, let's see, yeah, this wig is a Funny Lordy wig that I got as a freebie with an order. And Cosmo made the leggings, and the shirt is something I made a few years ago, actually for the first monstrously tall doll I got for Goliath. So it pretty much fits large Barbie size. So I'm still pretty happy with the way I painted the eyeball. And I like dressed all three of these on the first day that I was redressing dolls. It's like, wow, that's very monochrome, isn't it? Am I going to be doing monochrome stuff? No, but I just thought it was amusing that, for me, these are relatively not colorful. So the other body Cosmo sent was the tall Made to Move, who I started shuffling around figuring out what heads would match her, and her skin tone is a kind of redder 1990s and earlier tan skin tone. I think a lot of people have put like 80s Barbie's heads on it, and I think I had a 90s Teresa head that would have matched perfectly. But I ended up actually revisiting an old custom and giving that body to the one I call Space Princess PJ, because she's wearing Nubby Star's antenna, which after I rooted her, the rooting pattern, I just followed the original vintage pattern, so it's fairly thinly rooted. So there was plenty of space just to use a craft knife to make an X in the vinyl and just put these in. And I did have to grind out the inside of the neck to make it fit on a modern body, and then use Chris's bread tag method of putting some spacer plastic inside to hold the vintage head in place. I probably should grind it out a little more because she's still a little lumpy. Sticker pin. She's still a little lumpy, but I'm still pretty happy with her. And Cosmo Moore made the shirt, and Cosmo Moore made the bandage stickers. So this is a very Cosmo Moore doll, I think. So that is a lot more colorful than the other dolls I've been doing. And that was it for doing stuff with what Cosmo sent. And then, but by that point, since I had been swapping heads around and trying to figure out who would go with what, I had freed up some bodies, and I'd also gone through my body bin looking for bodies for other things and dug bodies out. So I started playing around with more stuff, although this one is not one of those. This is one of the heads I showed you last week that I made the wig for. And I went ahead and dressed her in this suit I made a few years ago from some random cloth I got in a thrift store cloth grab bag. And I have been complimented on the way these motifs line up on the front, across the sleeves and the front, and that was pure coincidence. I did pattern match across the front on this center motif, but the fact that the sleeves ended up the same was a nice surprise. But Still a surprise. So that was her. And I've mentioned I've posted pictures of all of these dolls on Instagram. And let's see, this one, the body was in the body bin, and I hadn't thought at all about what head I would put on it, and this head that ended up on it was not looking for a new body. A few years ago I was looking at eBay and I found this, one person had a few different auctions for these little dolls that were just, all that it said on the back was D&F Industries. And they were little dolls, but their heads looked like they were about Barbie size, and really interesting sculpts. And I like this one had short hair. Very early 60s kind of bouffant bubble cut. So I ordered one and immediately started trying to find bodies to put this head on. She was on, she might have been on a Live body for a little while, or maybe a Disney body, because she has a very kind of pale peachy skin. And then I put her on a Articulated Fashionistas pale body, because they are very peach, but it still wasn't quite peach enough. So I was digging through the body box and something clicked when I saw the McGonagall body, the Harry Potter doll that Queen of Squids has sent. So I dug out the DF Industries doll. I call her Delphine because DFI makes sense. And anyway, I put that head on the McGonagall body, and I think I usually put scarves on to hide terrible, terrible skin tone matches, but this time the scarf really is on just as an accessory. So I think she matches this body really well. The body does have an odd size of feet, and I didn't want to keep digging and trying shoes, so she is in the original McGonagall shoes. So that's why I went ahead and made her kind of witchy overall. So I'm happy to have a really nicely matched body for this head now. And I have no idea, no one's been sure if this head is completely original to DF Incorporated or DF Industries, DFI, or if she is a clone of somebody. So if you recognize this doll, Turner, I would appreciate knowing who she is, if she is somebody besides the DFI, because it's a really interesting sculpt. And after I got her on this body, I realized that she does kind of look like young Maggie Smith too, so I just thought that was a nice touch. And another doll's head that I had had on, I think another pale Articulated Fashionistas body. And then I didn't like that, and I put her on a regular Articulated Fashionistas body, and that didn't work either. And I was swapping around, but I realized that her skin tone had always been just a bit gray. And I was looking through the bodies. This actually had her out because I considered her for the curvy body, the curvy Made to Move. And I didn't want to put her head back on the body she'd been on because it didn't quite match. So I dug through the bodies, and if you have experience with the Articulated Fashionistas bodies, you know that each series of the standard skin tone was slightly different. So I dug around and I found one. This was actually the Barbie style Barbie. So it has articulated ankles as well as the rest. I would say as well as the rest of the Articulated Fashionistas articulation, but it doesn't have the underbust articulation, but she has ankles. So the Barbie was just a little bit more neutral skin tone than the other bodies like that. So this Betty Teen head that Flo sent me a while ago that I repainted and is wearing a wig by Fire Spirited got this body. Again, it is a good skin match. She's just wearing the scarf to be wearing a scarf. And Cosmo made this shirt, and actually I had a different outfit on this doll that I really liked, but it just did not suit her. So I put all the components of that outfit in a bag to find someone else to wear eventually. And then I just started, I knew I wanted something with a lot of layers, and the kind of, if you're familiar with the European style called Leggin look, which literally means layered look, but it's a specific kind of sort of shapeless, boxy layers. And bulky, like you would wear to keep warm in the winter. And then of course a witch hat, because I was having fun going with pink and orange, but not pink and orange, and layering that on. So when I found this brick witch hat when I was looking through my bag of hats for the other hats. I was happy to put this on her. And I did repaint her face. And between her eyebrows and the white wigs, sometimes she reminds me a little bit too much of KK Slider from Animal Crossing. And that's okay. If I ever stumble across another doll guitar, she's gonna play it probably. And if you don't know what Animal Crossing is or KK Slider is, that makes no sense, but I'm amusing myself. And then the last doll, this is also a head that is bounced around body to body to body. And actually the Liv, I think Alexis or Danielle, the darkest Liv body was orange enough to match this head. But I just didn't like that body with this head. So then I put this head on a tan Articulated Fashionista's body, and it was like the right level of red, but way too pale. But it was good enough for a while because I like this head on the Fashionista's body, Articulated body. But as I was bouncing around with the bodies last weekend, I had a Barbie style Grace body, which again is like the regular Fashionistas Articulated body, but with ankles. Only this one, I found 2 Graces on clearance, and I snapped them up because it's hard to find that skin tone in articulated bodies. And one of them was just fine, and this one, when I took her head off the first time, the neck knob, you know, there's the knob, and then it goes in a loop around a pin through the neck. And you know, a lot of times when you take the heads off, that pin in the neck snaps. Well, in this one, the pin in the neck was fine, but the neck knob itself, like, ripped and came off. So I had been rigging it back in, like, trying to feed it through and then using rubber, those clear elastics to, like, get it tied on, but that didn't really work. And so I finally took this body and destroyed the pin that goes across the neck that holds the neck knob on. I tore that out, I nipped it out with the plastic cutters and pliers, and I got that out. And I took another Barbie neck knob because, you know, if you have enough Barbies, especially older Barbies, then you get a lot of broken necks and neck knobs. So I just started keeping those. So I took this neck knob and I popped it back into the neck. Now, it's not on the cross pin, but it was hard enough to get into the neck that it should be pretty hard for it to come back off. You know, if we've popped a doll stuff together like this, then you know you get pinched as it goes in because it's so tight. So that got back in and made this body usable again. And I'm not worried about the head that I put on it, like accidentally pulling out again, because it's another Create Flower Princess head. And these heads go on, the original bodies had spherical neck knobs. So there's a lot of room in this neck knob, and it's on the spacer I'm using inside it is a piece of vinyl cut out of a glue head doll. So it's the right size to go on the neck knob, and then it's also on the inside. And on the outside of it, it's big enough to fill in the spherical neck connector space inside these heads. Some of this stuff is really verbose. I feel like there should be a word for it, but then you might not have any idea what I'm talking about. So I try to stick with the wordy stuff, especially if I don't know any better. So anyway, this head is not a great match for this body in skin tone, but I think in shape, I really like these Create Flower Princess heads on. I have another one buried in a box who is on another Articulated Fashionista's body. And of course we have her on the Articulated Made to Move Curvy body. I had a few of these dolls as a kid, so I have a lot of fondness for this head sculpt. So that's what I actually got done, which is a lot more than I had been, although again it's not real hardcore customizing, it's really just dressing. I have some things set aside for customizing. I was looking through at the Skippers, that Bailey scent. Thanks again. And I noticed that this one with the two-tone hair, I don't think it will show up in pictures, but her skin tone is almost translucent. I don't know if it's because it's slightly shiny or if it really is a slightly translucent vinyl, but it's a very pretty skin tone. And though normally I'm not fond of blue eyes, her eyes are painted really well. and she has lashes that are tapered as opposed to a lot of the skippers in this era have lashes that are just lines. So I like her, and I'm looking at her, and there was the main problem with this head was that whoever had her at some point had cut the hair on the sides of the head really short. So I went through and carefully took the shortcut hair off, out, inside. I use this to scrape out hair from the inside. So she's ready to have more hair rerooted on the sides. I just haven't figured out what to do yet. I don't know if I want to do another fairly real. I think this part has technically been cut too, but that's okay. I can live with that. I don't know if I want to do another fairly realistic natural color on these sides, or one contrast color, or a whole rainbow of contrast fantasy colors. So some of my time has been spent removing that hair and going through my stash of rerooting hair, trying to figure out what, and I haven't figured it out yet. But that's on a to-do list at some point. It shouldn't take as long as an entire reroot. But I also have this head that Cosmo sent, that Cosmo painted, or gave a new face up. I think there's as much color pencil here as paint. So that. And I found a body that matches the head. This is a pretty common skin tone, so I found a body for it, and I found the fiber I want to reroot the head with. It's yarn. It's very thin yarn though, so it's going to take about as long as a regular reroot. Maybe. Maybe not. I have rerooted a doll with this yarn before, but I don't remember if it was fast or not. Seems like it was. So maybe I will have those done by next week's video. I also have a dress cut out, ready to sew. I don't think I'll have it done before the weather turns finally fall weather, and it's a summery dress, so I really want to work on that. And then I want to start sewing stuff for fall, because I've been sewing stuff for summer since January. So it's finally going to be fall, maybe. Oh, and I picked up a piece of cardboard from Aldi because I have an idea for another backdrop for doll pictures. So hopefully I'll have little odds and ends of things to show you next week, which hopefully I'll have a lot of little odds and ends of things to show you, which I know is one of the things you tune in for. Tune in, it's not TV. Anyway, it's time for me to stop talking. Thanks for watching.